This channel is supported by all of these awesome brands. Hi, I'm Nico and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to talk about the SAB Panel Liners by Samawangu. 8 months ago, Samawangu were kind enough to send me the complete 14-piece set of panel liners that they have. And I did a review and a couple of tutorial videos about it. And of course, it's what I use up to now and nothing else. But it's been a while since I have actively talked about it or made the video solely about the panel liners, or scribing in general. So I decided that for today's video, I'm gonna share how the SAB panel liners are holding up after 8 months of use. So if you scroll down my channel, you'll see that I do have a lot of videos about panel line scribing, and almost all of my builds have custom scribing on them. So I can definitely say that I have put this SAB panel liners to the test. And well, 8 months later, I still find them really great. So the first time that I've used the SAB panel liners, 8 months ago, they were super sharp, which I really liked because just one light stroke of the scriber and you'll immediately see that it scraped off the plastic. Unlike with other chisels and scribers where you have to do at least a couple of light strokes to see progress. Now after months of using it, I find that it's still sharp enough to do the job. And I didn't have to sharpen it with a tool or something. And I spent a lot of time customizing, probably half of which is just adding custom panel lines. Just because I find it relaxing. Plus, it makes my builds look more detailed, obviously. And so I have tried a couple of different techniques and uses for my scribers. And I can say that the SAB panel liners just really hold up well, even with everything that I've put it through. So I have had cheaper chisels and lower quality chisels break and get damaged after an accident or a mistake with the amount of pressure I've put, how I held it, and how I used it. And those chisels are marketed as being sturdy and made of whatever strong metal they have. But I still had a couple break off on me. Now that could be user error on my part, but I'm confident enough in my abilities or at least with my scribing skills that I beg to differ. Anyways, I have never had that happen to me with SAB panel liners. Thank God, because I could never afford to buy another for myself if that happens. But yeah, thankfully, they are actually super sturdy. So SAB panel liners have a cemented carbide blade and the handle is made from stainless steel, which means you don't have to worry about corrosion or deformation happening. But if you want to be extra careful, they do have chisel handles which you can buy. I don't recommend using BMC handles for this just because it's a bit too tight, since the SAB panel liners are thicker than BMC chisels. But I've seen other modelers make it work, so just proceed with caution if you really want to try it out. As you can see, I don't use any kind of handles whatsoever on my panel liners, simply because I'm fine with not having one. The length of the panel liner itself is actually just alright for me since I have small hands. And adding a handle will add weight to the chisel, and I prefer it to be lightweight, like I'm not holding anything. But of course, that's just personal preference. If you've watched my first video about these panel liners, you'll see that I scribe a piece of flat plate just to show the quality of the blades and the different sizes. So for this video, I'll be making a similar one, just so we can see if there's any difference with the quality whatsoever. So aside from the usual scribing where you just scribe until it's deep enough to your liking, I have also used SAB panel liners for armor separation. And this is actually not advisable. This is dangerous ground because there's a much higher risk of chipping off your chisel or the blade breaking since it needs to go through to the other side. And actually, armor separation is done with a microsaw or with the grinder tool if you have one. But both of those tools produces a messy outcome. You'll have to do a lot of extra cutting and sanding to get it right, which also means you end up with a much bigger gap than you wanted. So for a cleaner and better outcome, I used my SAB panel liners for armor separation. Of course, while I was doing it, I was afraid that I'm gonna have a chipped off blade, especially because I was using a 0.1 and a 0.15 chisel, meaning it's so easy to damage that with how thin it is. Thankfully, I managed to get everything done without damaging any of my chisels, which is super great, and it just shows how sturdy and well made the SAB panel liners really are. But of course, there is also a downside to these panel liners. Because it's lightweight, it's way easier to have your hand slip while scribing. And since it's sharper than most, no matter how light you held it, if you slip, you're gonna end up with a scratch deep enough that you have to sand it, or in some cases, even use putty. But personally, I think this just depends on the user. I mean, if you're a beginner or it's your first time using chisels, then you're bound to make mistakes and slip a couple of times. Doesn't matter what brand of chisels you use. So for me, this isn't really a downside. But of course, for others, they might think otherwise. So just make your own decision before buying. And yeah, that's about it for today's video. I think I was able to show you guys enough to prove that the SAB panel liners are still just as good as new. Since getting them 8 months ago, I would say I have used them on 12 kits so far, HG and MG kits alike, and a couple of diorama bases as well. So yeah, I have used it a lot. So if you want to try them out yourselves and see what the fuss is about, you can check out the list of stores below. Hopefully, they still have some in stock. And before the video ends, I want to remind you all that I have a Patreon account. So if you want to support me and see work in progress, behind the scene photos and videos, and PDF tutorials, do check it out at the link below. Also, another great way to support the channel and me is by buying kits and tools at Rise of Gunpla, the first Bandai shop in France. If you use my discount code Nico Suratos, then you'll get a 5% off discount for your purchase, plus I earn a small commission without any additional cost to you. And yeah, that's about it for today's video. Do like, comment, and subscribe and watch my other videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye!